Hey there everyone, welcome back to the Deep Fog. Let's go ahead and get something straight right off the bat. I love animation. In fact, here's a tattoo to prove it. So, obviously I'm a little bit biased when it comes to this topic, but I have many opinions that I feel I've only really heard briefly mentioned by others. I've never really seen a full video diving into this topic, and I feel like this is something that is just not really discussed enough. So, while I'm hard at work on some other bigger and more in-depth projects, I thought this could be a fun mini-topic to go ahead and delve into in the meantime. I'd also like to quickly thank everyone so much for the support they've been showing so far on the last video. It's already gotten far more views than I would have expected in the short amount of days that it's been up, so I really do appreciate it so much. For all of you who have subscribed, please stay tuned. I promise there's some big things coming, and I will do my best to deliver. Thank you all so much again, and with that being said, let's go ahead and get right into this video. Recently, I had the pleasure of rewatching Coraline in theaters, and it got me thinking about a topic that I've been talking to many people about for years now: animated horror. The idea to me that animated horror is not a more popular concept is truly astounding to me. Most animated media that have horror elements only do so for a scene or short segment, but are never fully tapped into. When I think of a horror, a lot of the time I think of the ability to take an idea, something inhuman and terrifying created only from the thoughts of a human mind, and putting it onto the screen visually to express those thoughts to others and convey even an ounce of the terrifying things the human mind can come up with. With that said, it begs the question, why is animated horror so uncommon? Animation is a medium that allows the creator to literally create anything from their imagination. Unlike live action, there are genuinely no limitations when it comes to animation. Although CGI and practical effects have become significantly better and more helpful in recent years, specifically Alien Romulus, oh my god, that... holy shit, don't even get me started on that. To me, there's an untapped beauty and potential in animated horror. Coraline is a film that reminded me of this, as when I was rewatching, I realized how truly terrifying the horror aspects were. To me, there's such an uncanny feeling when watching a fully animated horror that live-action horror has never truly done to me, as I can get a little lost in the idea that the creatures on screen are either someone in a costume or a visual effect. But with animation, the horror elements are a part of the world, just like the characters. They're all interconnected, and it's significantly more difficult to break the illusion of the scary parts, as it doesn't feel like the characters and the creatures are of two completely different worlds. This is why I felt so much horror and dread from the other mother, a character who feels just as grounded in the wacky world that Coraline has built, and I feel like it would have been significantly harder to sell the idea of the other mother in live action as much as the animated version. And although Coraline is still a fantastic film, the ending especially makes me wish that the entire movie was much more adult and leaned heavier into the darker themes of the story, which is a problem that many animated horrors, while they do have good horror elements, are unable to lean entirely into that side of the story. Luckily, it does seem that with upcoming things such as the Uzumaki anime, animated horror might see some more people trying to tap into it in the coming years. There's clearly a large fan base for it, as shown with the love that Coraline receives. Most people who talk about Coraline talk about how great its horror elements are, and I too agree that this is the best part of the film as a whole. When the other mother was transforming and jumping out and showing her creepy ass claws or whatever, I don't know what you'd call them, it just terrified me. And even for a movie that was so old and I'd watched so much as a kid, just sitting there in that seat, especially watching it in 3D, is truly a different experience. And once again, if you've never seen Coraline, please go watch it. It is so good. With all of this said, this whole video overall is really just a big propaganda post to get people to show more support for animated horror. Tragically, we live in a time where studios would prefer to make all animated projects as kid-oriented as possible, which is likely a contributor to the lack of animated horror that we see in modern media. However, in my opinion, this type of horror has the most potential to be truly terrifying and memorable, and I'm hoping that as animation continues to grow and studios realize the larger audience for animation, animated horror will be considered more often for projects. So please, if you like an animated horror movie, Coraline, I know Paranorman, sadly there's not a whole lot out there that are really fully horror, because even those two films alone are not entirely horror movies. They have a lot of elements such as humor and other things to balance out the horror. But I truly think that in the coming years we will hopefully get a fully animated horror movie that is terrifying, because truly, I think it has the most potential. Coraline is a film that's really, really good at just making a vibe and a certain terrifying... I shouldn't go off script. Once again, thank you all so much for all the support you've been showing on the channel. It really means a lot, and I hope you all appreciate this video. I promise there is more, bigger stuff coming up, and if you stay tuned, I promise I will do my best to deliver with some cool content. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a great day.